What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another FPL video on the channel. And in today's one, we are back with another transfer talks video where we will be discussing all things to do with game week 24, and we'll start things off talking about the Liverpool players because they do have a double game week coming up in 24. So with that being said, right, who do you go for? What Liverpool players should we be looking to buy for this double game week? Now, first things first, right, I will start off by saying for me, the two must-have players are Trent Alexander-Arnold and of course Mohamed Salah. I did say that in my last transfer talks video, but the first time was so nice I had to say it twice. Guys, listen, for me, the two must-have players in my humble opinion is Trent and Mohamed Salah for this double game week. I really do feel like you can rely on those two players the most in terms of minutes and starts, but also I feel like they do have the highest potential and highest ceiling for FPL points across this double game week. So in my opinion, Trent and Salah are two must-have players. Now, in terms of who do you go for alongside Trent and Salah for your third Liverpool option, do you go for Alisson? Do you go for a defender like Konate or Van Dijk? Or do you go for another attacker like Diaz or Gakpo? Well, look, for me, that's just completely up to you. It's completely down to you. It depends on what your team is looking like. For example, you might have someone like Nicholas Jackson in your team, right, who's been stinking up the place for a long time. And you could argue that Nicholas Jackson needs to be sold and replaced. So in that situation, you could just go for Gakpo, right, because that's what your team needs. You might be in a situation where you're not really happy with your goalkeeper. Go ahead and get Alisson in that case. Or you might have a situation where you can upgrade your defenders. So I would upgrade to a Konate or a Van Dijk, for example. So yeah, as I'm saying, guys, look, it literally just depends on what your personal team needs. I don't think there is a generic right or wrong answer, right? So look, with that being said, I do quickly want to discuss, right, if you are sort of relatively happy with your team, right, and it's just a straight up choice between Gakpo and Diaz, who would you go for? For me, I would personally go for Gakpo over Diaz, right? I think his goal threat is a lot better. I really do think Gakpo's goal threat is a lot better. And also his form is a lot better, right? Because he's getting the goals, he's getting the assists, right? As you guys can see, he's got 5 Premier League goals, 2 Premier League assists in like the last 5 Premier League games, right? And then the minutes as well for me, right? The minutes do seem to be better for the likes of Cody Gakpo over Luis Diaz. 90 against Leicester, 57 against West Ham, 85 against United, 90 minutes against Forest, and 86 against Brentford, and 67 against Ipswich. And if you compare that to Luis Diaz, yeah, Luis Diaz's minutes are a lot worse. Yes, he got 90. He got 0 against Leicester, 90 against West Ham, 59 against Manchester United, 74 minutes, 64 minutes, and 85 minutes. So you can see there that the minutes are slightly worse for Luis Diaz. So for me, I do prefer Gakpo for that reason over Luis Diaz. And also, because of the position that Luis Diaz has been playing, technically he's in direct competition with Darwin Núñez as well. So he is more likely to be subbed off because of the position at the moment that Luis Diaz is playing, right? Gakpo is playing as the left winger. So look, for me, for that reason, as I said, I go for Gakpo because I think the form and the minutes are a lot better for him. In terms of Konate and Van Dijk, who'd you go for out of those two? For me, I do prefer Konate. If you're going to go for a second defender, I do prefer Konate. I don't think, you know, it's worth going for. I don't think it's worth spending the extra money to get Virgil van Dijk in, right? Konate's like 5.1, 5.2 million, and Van Dijk costs 6.4 million, right? I don't really think Van Dijk is an extra 1 million worth. Yeah, I don't think it's worth spending that extra money to get Van Dijk, right? Because as long as Konate is fit, he will play in that centre-back position. He will get the minutes that you need to get a clean sheet. So for me, I do prefer Konate over Van Dijk. Now, quickly before we do end off this Liverpool segment, I quickly wanted to, again, just show you this Liverpool ranking table, right? Just to summarise it. I'd have Salah and Trent in the must-have section. In the great third option, or as a good third option, I would have Van Dijk, Alisson, Konate, Gakpo, and Diaz. And in the avoid section, I would have Jota, Núñez, Robertson, and Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai I quickly want to touch on, right? Because I actually do think that Szoboszlai in isolation is a pretty decent pick. However, because you've only got 3 slots, right, for the Liverpool players, I don't think you can make an argument to fit in Szoboszlai, right? Especially if you've already got Salah and Trent. You've only got one more space for a Gakpo, for a Diaz, for a Konate, for a Van Dijk. And I just don't think Szoboszlai can really, like, I don't really think you can make an argument to pick Szoboszlai over any of those players. That's just my personal opinion. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on that, and also let me know what 3 Liverpool players you are going for this double game week. I'd love to know what you guys, what players you guys are picking. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next players. All right, guys. So next up, we do have the Everton players, and of course, Everton also do have a double game week in game week 24. Now, I'm not gonna lie, right? My opinion still hasn't changed from the last transfer talks video I did. I still think you shouldn't really be looking to buy more than 2 Everton players, right? I'm gonna be honest, a maximum of 2 Everton players, and to be honest with you, I would say make sure they're defenders. I really wouldn't be going for any attacking Everton players, right? Dominic Calvert-Lewin, of course, is injured now, so he's out of the question, but there is still Mbeumo and Ndiaye. Now, would I be buying Ndiaye? Absolutely not, right? Yes, I know he got the goal. He got a penalty against Brighton, so people are probably going to be looking to bring him in, but for me, just stay far away, man. Don't do it to yourself. Just don't do it to yourself. It's going to be nothing but pain you're going to experience if you go for this Everton player. That's my honest opinion. Look, the underlying data isn't even that great for Ndiaye, right? First things first, right? The underlying data is pretty shocking, right? He's got 0.16 expected goals per 90, which is very, very poor. 0.05 expected assists per 90. And he's just playing in a team that isn't that good going forward, right? Everton are not that good. I know they've got 2 wins in the last 2 games. They've got 4 goals in their last 2 games. But for me, my opinion doesn't change. I don't actually think this is a great double game week for Everton. If I'm being honest, yes, Leicester at home is great. I cannot deny that. But Liverpool at home, come on, guys. Liverpool at home, I don't even look at that as a fixture, bro. I already know that the Everton players are blanking in that game because Liverpool are one of the best teams in world football, not just the Premier League, right? They're one of the best teams in the world. So for me, I see Liverpool, my honest opinion, I see Liverpool wiping out an Everton clean sheet, and I see Liverpool stopping Everton from scoring, right? So I don't think the Everton defenders, bar Pickford, right, could walk away from that Liverpool game with some points. I think Pickford has the potential to get some save points, right? That's why I like him. But anyone else, right? All the outfield players, I see each and every one of them blanking in this in that Liverpool game. So for me, the only thing they're going to get you is the appearance points. That's my honest opinion, right? So with that being said, I personally wouldn't be buying Ndiaye. Now, in terms of the defense, right? I like Pickford a lot for this double. Actually, no. Before I quickly move on to why I like Pickford and I don't mind Everton defenders, I also just want to quickly point out, right, is that the fixtures outside of the double are not even good for Everton, right? You've got, after the double, you've got Crystal Palace away, United at home, Brentford away, Wolves away, and West Ham at home. I think the only good fixtures here are in 28 and 29. Wolves away and West Ham at home are great fixtures. All the other fixtures are trash, in my opinion, right? So for me, it's not even like the fixtures around the double game week are good. If the fixtures around the double game week were good, then I'd be much more keen on buying a player like Mbeumo and Ndiaye. But they're not, right? So for me, I would be hard avoiding this player. I just don't think it's worth it. Of course, look, maybe you've got someone like Joao Pedro who's been stinking up the place. Maybe you need a striker to replace him. But yeah, I mean, if that's your situation, you've got Joao Pedro, then maybe you go for Mbeumo and Ndiaye because they are in the same price bracket. So fair enough if it's for Joao Pedro, but still, man, this move doesn't excite me at all, and I think, yeah, it's a big mistake going for this player. That's my honest opinion. But look, in terms of the Everton defenders, right, Pickford, Tarkowski, Mykolenko, whoever it is you go for, I don't mind it. I don't mind it because I think Everton against Leicester have a decent chance of picking up a clean sheet, but also just, for me, look, I preferably would be buying just Pickford, right? If it was completely down to me, if I was wildcarding, for example, I'd only be buying Pickford. Even the outfield defenders, I'm not a big fan of, especially if you're actually using the transfer to bring them in, because like I said, the fixtures around the double game week aren't really that good. And if they don't get a clean sheet against Leicester, you're finished, because you already know Everton aren't getting a clean sheet against Liverpool, right? They're just going to get your appearance points, and even then, Liverpool might score 3 or 4 goals, and in that case, you could end up with 0 points in that game. So for me, I just think Pickford is really the only player. Like, some people already have, like, Mykolenko, for example. Like me, I've already got Mykolenko, so I'm not using the transfer to bring him in. If you don't have any Everton defenders, I wouldn't be sort of worrying if you don't have them. Honestly, like, yeah, you can buy them because there's an extra fixture, fair enough. And to be fair, if you're in a situation, right, if your team structure is in a way where you could buy an Everton defender for this double and then bench him and then bench them afterwards, then fair enough. I think I would buy them. But if you can't and they'd be a consistent starter in your team, I would hard avoid an Everton defender. But Jordan Pickford, I do like Jordan Pickford, because at least with Pickford you got the potential of racking up some save points, right? So even if Everton do not get you a clean sheet, you're at least going to get some save points there, because that's just Jordan Pickford, man. I mean, Everton do concede a lot of chances, and Jordan Pickford just does make a lot of saves, right? So for me, I don't mind Jordan Pickford too much. I don't mind one Everton defender. Would I be doubling up? Probably not. Would I be buying an attacker like Ndiaye? Nah, I just wouldn't go there, man. That's my honest opinion, guys. You might disagree with me, which is completely fair enough. I am no expert. I'm not a professional FPL tipster, right? But that's just my opinion, man. This double for Everton doesn't really excite me too much, and I'm more than happy to avoid the majority of the Everton players and just have Mykolenko in my team, who I've already had anyway. So yeah, that's my opinion on the Everton players. Let me know what you guys do think of that. I'd love to know if you guys are going to be buying Ndiaye, Tarkowski, Mykolenko, Pickford. Let me know how many is anyone going for free Everton players? I would love to know if anyone is going to go for free Everton players. But yeah, with that being said, let's move on to the next players. All right, guys. So next up, we do have the deadly duo of Mbeumo and Joao Wissa. And in my opinion, these are two players you should be looking to buy for game week 24, man. I really do think now is the time to potentially be doubling up on these two players. And it's something I'm considering myself, right? I've already got Joao Wissa in my team. But I'm also thinking now to bring in Mbeumo to complete that double up, because I just think, right, through this fixture run from game week 24 all the way up to 29, I really do see Mbeumo and Joao Wissa absolutely cooking in these fixtures. I mean, you're starting off with Spurs at home. It's a great fixture for an attacker. We've seen how poor Spurs have been. They're coming off the back of losing at home to Leicester, right? They lost to Leicester. Everton drew to Wolves, right? Everton scored 3 goals past Spurs. Wolves scored 2 goals against Spurs. So look, we know that Spurs are a leaky defense. And then after that, we've got West Ham away, then Leicester away, Everton at home, Villa at home, Bournemouth away. I think these group of fixtures are fantastic, right? So for me, look, I think Mbeumo's class, not much really needs to be said, right? We know how good Mbeumo is. He's the 90-minute man. He starts every game. He also has the bonus of taking penalties as well. And in my opinion, right, I will say this, right? I do think along these fixtures, number one, Brentford have shown that they are almost like flat track bullies. They really do perform, especially in Mbeumo and Wissa. They really do perform against the sort of lesser sides in the Premier League, the relegation for the side. So against Leicester, I see Mbeumo, I see Joao Wissa, these two players absolutely cooking in this fixture. And the same goes for the West Ham game and the Everton game, right? So in even the Spurs game, like I said, look, the fixtures are so good. Brentford are almost like flat track bullies, right? They do so well against the lower sides in the Premier League. And yeah, for me, Mbeumo and Wissa are fantastic. And look, with Joao Wissa, right, his open play goal threat is absolutely fantastic. It's something I've spoke about quite a bit, to be fair. Something I've spoke about quite a bit over the last few weeks. But I really do love Joao Wissa's big open play goal threat. In that Brentford system, he gets a lot of big chances and he will score goals with these fixtures, right, that Brentford do have ahead of them. So look, for me, both Mbeumo, both Joao Wissa are absolutely fantastic, and I honestly would be looking to buy these two players and complete the double up from game week 24 onwards, because in a way I feel like it's almost guaranteed points every week, because who are the names that you'd expect to be on the score sheet or to get the assists for Brentford in these games? It's going to be one of Mbeumo or Joao Wissa, and potentially both of them, right? So for me, yeah, I really do love this double up. I really do think they can rack up a lot of points together over the next coming weeks in FPL. So let me know your thoughts on that. Yeah, but for me, this duo is absolutely amazing. All right, guys, so next up, I wanted to talk about whether or not you should be looking to sell Cole Palmer. As so far this game week, he's actually had 92,000 transfers out. Now, look, for me, I know Cole Palmer has been stinky, pretty stinky recently. I think, look, as an FPL asset and just on the eye test, right, from what I've seen performance-wise for Chelsea, I do really think there has been a drop-off in terms of his level of performance, not only as an FPL asset, but just also as just a football player playing for Chelsea, right? I do think there has been a drop-off there. But for me, I don't think it is enough of a reason to be selling him right now, right? With the fixtures that Chelsea do have coming up, they're still so good. these fixtures. So for me, I just don't think it makes sense to be selling him. I know he's not really looked great, to be honest with you guys, even in the games where he's sort of got a goal in, he's not really looked too good, or maybe he scored from his only chance from the game. And I think with Cole Palmer, right, when you compare him to last season, he doesn't really seem to have that same explosiveness, right? He really doesn't he doesn't really seem to have that same explosiveness. He's not really getting multiple goals and assists in a single game. He does seem to be collecting bonus points, even if he does get one return, which is quite nice. But yeah, when you compare him to last season, right, we all know how explosive and how ridiculous Cole Palmer was. I don't think he looks like that same player in this Maresca Chelsea team and in this Maresca system. So there has been a little bit of a drop off in my opinion, but nonetheless, like I said, I still wouldn't be looking to sell him because the fixtures are just so good, right? I think even though we haven't seen that explosiveness so far this season, in my opinion, or recently, I think earlier on at the start of the season, right, Cole Palmer was looking really explosive and looking like the Cole Palmer we saw from last season. But recently, I do think there has been a drop-off, right? Like I said. However, I think we know what Cole Palmer can do, and there's always that potential there with Cole Palmer to just explode at any given time. And with these fixtures, I think he could just do exactly that. And another point that I want to make, right, is at his price point, I don't really think there is anyone else to really go to, right? Bukayo Saka, injured, not back until March, so you can't really go to him. Heung-min Son, absolutely not, right? Spurs look shocking. I wouldn't be going anywhere near Son, to be honest with you guys. So yeah, there's no Son, there's no Saka. Right, we've already got Salah. You could argue Bruno Fernandes, but I think if you're not going for Haaland, you've got enough money to have Cole Palmer and Bruno Fernandes in the same team. So, look, for me, there isn't really many other players to go to, even if you are taking out Cole Palmer. So, look, for that reason, if you have Cole Palmer, I'll just be looking to keep him, man. I really don't see the benefit of taking out Cole Palmer before West Ham, Brighton, Villa, Southampton, and Leicester, because you'd probably want him back for Southampton and Leicester. Let's be totally honest, right? So for me, even though he looks pretty off right now, I still keep him. I just probably wouldn't be putting the captain's armband, on Cole Palmer. Maybe against Southampton, but other than that, I wouldn't be looking to captain Cole Palmer, to be honest with you. So yeah, that is just my opinion on Cole Palmer. I think, look, people have been selling him. I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be doing that. So yeah, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys do think of that. And have you sold Cole Palmer already, or are you thinking about selling Cole Palmer? I would love to hear your thoughts. Alright guys, so next up we do have Joao Pedro, and he has been sold by around 120,000 FPL managers, and I can completely understand why. This man has been stinking up the place week in, week out, and to be honest with you, enough is enough. If I had him in my FPL team, I would most definitely be looking to sell this man. He's literally only got 1 Premier League goal and 2 assists in the last 10 Premier League games. It's absolutely shocking, right? He's been stinking up the place, and for me, the upcoming fixtures aren't really good, right? Nottingham Forest away, Chelsea at home, Southampton away, Bournemouth, Fulham, City, Villa. I don't think these fixtures are good, especially for a player like Joao Pedro. He's been massively underperforming. I think the data suggests it, right? His underlying data isn't really that great. And on the eye test as well, he's not a player that seems to get a high volume of chances, right? He's not a player like, obviously, yes, Mohamed Salah is, so expensive. But even like Joao Wissa, right? Joao Wissa is someone who's much cheaper, around 6 million, right? And he's a player I look at that gets so many chances in any given game for Brentford. I can't really say the same. For Joao Pedro, right? The underlying data is also not that great. 0.28 expected goals per 19. That is also including penalties as well. So look, for me, I'm not really too keen on Joao Pedro. I'd much rather be looking to just move him on at this point. I think there's much better options. I did mention Joao Wissa. If you have Joao Pedro, I'd most definitely be looking to move Joao Pedro on and bring in Joao Wissa. I also would consider taking a punt on possibly Liam Delap. I think Southampton at home is a great entry point. He's also got Villa away, a little bit tough, but then after that he's got Spurs at home, which is quite nice. Man United away, you could argue it's an easy or tough game. It depends on how you view Manchester United. But for me personally, it just depends on what Manchester United turns up, right? I think Man United on their day could be very good, but how often do we have our days? Not not too often, right? So that's 50-50. But look, Palace away is not too bad. Forest at home is pretty tricky. Bournemouth away is pretty tricky. I think Delap is almost like a short-term punt. If you wanted a differential at 3.2% ownership, he is around the same price as Joao Pedro. I wouldn't mind owning Liam Delap for the next 3 games, right? That is my personal opinion. But look, as I said, for me, the number 1 player I would bring in for Joao Pedro is Mbeumo and Wissa, right? Without a doubt. So yeah, for me, if you've got Joao Pedro, yeah, for me, I'd be looking to sell him straight up. I'd be looking to sell him. One thing I have noticed though, even though the fixtures are bad for Joao Pedro, right? I will say he actually only seems to really return against the better teams in the Premier League. Like, for example, he scored against Arsenal in the 1-1 draw, but also earlier on in the season, I think it was in like game week 3, Joao Pedro scored against Arsenal. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. Look, so Joao Pedro, he scored twice against Arsenal. He scored once against Manchester United. He scored once against Man City and once against Bournemouth. So all his 5 goals have actually come against some of the better teams in the Premier League, right? All the teams I mentioned there, apart from Manchester United, have been really good performing teams in the Premier League so far this season. I know Man City have been pretty off, but look, they're still in the top 4, right? So yeah, so although I do say that the upcoming fixture run actually isn't great for Joao Pedro, if you're going off sort of the way he's been performing this season in terms of scoring against the better teams, you could actually make a case to keep Joao Pedro. But no, look, for me, I think regardless of that, I would just still sell him, because on the eye test, he's just not appealing. He's not a player that excites me in terms of, I don't look at Joao Pedro as someone, you know, just waiting to get that goal. He seems to be a more like, yes, in real life, the thing is with Joao Pedro, right, he's quite a good footballer, but he's not good for FPL, right? And that's the main thing for me. He's not good for FPL. He's not someone that gets a high volume of chances. So for me, I'd be looking to sell. I think you guys get the point. So I'm going to stop waffling, right? So yeah, let me know what you guys do think of that. Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts on what you're going to do with Joao Pedro if you do own him already. But for me, I would most definitely be looking to sell. So yeah, but that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure you do smash a big thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are so close to 2,000 subscribers, right? So please do subscribe and smash a like on the video. I would appreciate that a lot. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. But until then, I'm out. Peace.